Hey fellow squaddies, how are you? I'm here with Simon. How's your day going? Hopefully you had an amazing day. I know I have, but I posted out on Business Squad this morning that I was going to do an impromptu Facebook Live today. So I'm here with Simon Bourne, that many of you in Business Squad will know.
Hello.
So say hi to Simon, everybody. So I just really want to talk you through the journey that I've had with Simon over recent months. So Simon, can you just tell us when and where we met?
When is a good question. I think it would be sometime. Actually, it was a few weeks before your wedding, so you probably tell me when.
About this time last year, I think.
Was it really?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my goodness, Jesus.
Well, I got married at the end of June.
Right.
And I think we're on about a 4-week turnaround on the shoes.
That's right. So it must have been sort of May time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So May time, and Gary was a customer of mine. He called me up and we connected, and hi everybody. And we connected, and Gary ended up buying some lovely shoes from me for his wedding, and then we developed a friendship there. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi Kelly, hi Mike. Say hello.
Kelly.
Give us
Hi,
a thumbs
Mike.
up.
Hi.
Give us a thumbs up. Yeah, so I'd been watching you on LinkedIn actually for a number of months, Simon, and I guess I was just amazed. I love. I like to look the part, you know. I kind of just like to dress smart.
Really?
I kind of think if you dress smart, you kind of feel smart. You turn up. It's just been one thing that I've had for years.
And you're getting there, mate.
But hi Kate, welcome. I've been watching some of your videos and some of your posts, and I just love the shoes, and I really couldn't justify in my mind for a while. I just had this thing: how much are these shoes going to cost me, and can I justify it with all the expense that comes with a wedding? And I saw a post from you one day, and I don't know what it was, but it just said to me, do you know what? I've got to look this guy up, and I've got to go check these shoes out. And do you know what? It's one of the best decisions I've ever made, because I've loved the journey. So just tell me a little bit at the time. Where were you? Because I bought the shoes from you. You delivered such an amazing customer experience, and we'll come back onto that in a few moments. Can't keep Simon Bourne off social media too long. So we'll talk a little bit about the customer experience, but we'd actually just kept chatting for a number of months, haven't we? And I think you'd shared a few frustrations with me around your business and where you were, and we just said, well, look, let's have a chat, let's have a conversation, and just see where you are. So where were you with your business at that time? So it's probably kind of July, August last year.
So I think in my head I'd made the decision that I wanted to actually leave my job. So I was working full time at the time, as you know, and quite frustrated with it, and my business was kind of doing all right in the background. It was, away from the job, it was starting to earn me a little bit of money. I've done quite a lot of the legwork and put the groundwork, the infrastructure in the business to be able to develop it to a starting point, if you like. And that's where I was. I was at this starting point in this, and I was getting more and more frustrated because of a lack of time, a lack of direction. I didn't have any sort of, I don't know what I wanted to do with it, what we should do with it, whether it was even anything more than the imagination that was going on in my
what
mind.
What were your underlying kind of emotions around where you were?
Pure frustration, almost anger. Like there was a bit of anger in there, and this angry at myself that I couldn't work it out. So I was spending every single kind of morning, day, any spare bit of time just wrestling with my own mind, just trying to go, okay, what should I do? How should I do this? Should I open 10 shops next week? Should I just quit my job tomorrow? Should I follow the dream? And friends and people who have business saying, hey, just go for it, just go.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the right time.
But you were feeling trapped, I think.
Massively trapped.
Because you were saying to me, look, I kind of having to go into work because I need to pay the bills.
Of course,
but I can't deliver to my full potential.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the thing that really amazed me about you, is that you just had so much energy and so much passion for what you did, but you're almost like a caged animal. You're almost like, I want to be let loose. So you were kind of working for a living and having to do this in your spare time. So what kind of hours were you working on a daily, weekly basis? What kind of time were you starting and finishing?
90 hours a week.
90 hours a week. Wow.
Like I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning most days, do 2 or 3 hours before going off to my job. I'd then do 8 to 9 hours solid at the job, and then I'd have to come home and be sitting dyeing shoes till the early hours of the morning, just to fulfill orders and then obviously seek new orders. And so, you know, working full time in a responsible job, you know, I was a management in retail, and then trying to be an entrepreneur as well. I was massively trapped. I was just in this cycle of like, my business isn't at the point where I can just leave a salary and security, and guarantee myself that income. And that's ultimately where you came in, really, to almost just put those extra blocks in place, that then allowed me to be able to do that.
When you're working kind of 80, 90 hours a week, so you're kind of trying to build this business as well as holding down a full-time job. What effect does that have on your relationship with your wife and your family? What
wife?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah. So how were you feeling about that? How was she feeling about that?
It was incredibly tough, massive, deep sort of times of anxiety and stress, really, and you know, because, you know, your wife wants to go get a food shopping, and you're just like, I've got orders to fulfill. I've got to just get these out. You know, I can't let the customers down. Almost the customers take precedence over your relationship with my wife and my daughter, really.
Okay, so she was feeling it as well.
Massively feeling it, yeah.
Okay, so I think it was the back end of last year you came on one of our 2-day workshops.
I did.
So you were sat in a room with a number of other business owners, really looking at how you could unlock that potential and finally get out of that trap that you were in.
Yeah.
So what were some of the things that you wanted to tackle on that 2-day workshop when you were with us?
So one of my biggest frustrations was that I was finding all of my customers in one place, which was LinkedIn. So I was doing my promotion and any sort of marketing, and I do this because it was loose. It wasn't a marketing plan. It was just like whatever kind of came into my head each day. I was doing it all on LinkedIn, and I was frustrated that while that was working, like, I knew that wasn't sustainable for long term, and I needed to, you know, really understand my customers and really understand how I should be speaking to them and how I wanted to speak to them, because the brand, as much as anything, like, I wanted to talk to them in certain ways, but were my customers willing to listen to me in those ways? So the workshop itself, and I should really start back before we talk about the workshop, is I woke up on the morning of that workshop and very, very nearly decided I wasn't going to come.
I remember the text, yeah.
I wasn't. I was even that frustrated with the business that was just another distraction. It was another thing that, I've got this workshop to go to. Despite the fact, obviously, I've invested in it, it was just like, it's another thing. I've got these orders to fulfill. I've got packaging to sort out. I've got invoices to sort out. I've got shoes to sort out. I've got supplies to sort. Like, and I very nearly didn't come. And how catastrophic I feel like that decision would have been if I hadn't come, because, like, what I learned on those 2 days was I learned about myself, didn't I? Because I learned about why my business was working. I knew my business was working and it was growing, but why it was working, it was all about because of the values that I had and the fact that I was projecting those values to my customers in certain ways, and they were obviously connecting with it and buying the product.
Okay, so you had this anxiety in your business and even anxiety on the morning of the workshop. So what were the 2 or 3 things that you wanted to really, really tackle? What were the 2 or 3 things that were big issues for you that you wanted to tackle over the course of those couple of days?
The first thing was I was still working. This workshop was on my 2 days off for those 2 days. So the big thing I wanted to tackle was finding enough confidence from this workshop to be able to say, okay, this time next month or this time in 2 months or whenever that timeline will be, I'm going to step away from my job and I'm going to go with this. So that was the first thing. And
so was that about predictability of income? Because when you leave a full-time employment to go into running your own business, your income's volatile. It's feast or famine. So this for you was about, can I guarantee some security of income in order that I can support my family?
Exactly that. So the business was turning over, but it wasn't turning enough over to be able to pay myself what I was going to be paid, what I'm getting paid from my job. And that was the thing. It was like, so going on the workshop, I needed to create that predictability. To create that predictability, I needed to understand my business more, understand my customers more, and have some direction, because at that time I just had no direction.
So you're saying there is that it's about getting really ultra focused, super focused on your marketing and your messaging, but also you just didn't have a plan. You didn't have any clarity on how to get from A to B to C.
I wrote a thing on social media just this week about the importance of business plan and things like that, and it is massively important in the sense of I've never written one, I've never done one, I've never sat down with a piece of paper and gone, okay, overview, forecast, none of that stuff. That's all logical stuff to me. So therefore, the importance of the post that I wrote was that the most important thing is that you've got the imagination and you've got the vision for your business and what you want to create. The second thing after that then becomes the planning of it and the strategy of it and how you're going to actually deliver it. Yeah. Because we can all sit here, especially as creatives, and go, okay, I paint the world full of rainbow, it's like wonderful, and I'm going to do this. But actually, finding the pot of paint to paint it with, and how being able to afford that pot of paint, like those things are the things that we would all love to be Alexander McQueen, of course we would, and designing incredible clothes and fashion and be a real pillar of an industry, but actually I'm sure it all started with an idea that then probably was built by a team of people that had plans and strategized and created that.
Yeah, okay. So you've told me over recent months that you've had a lot of people knocking on your door, offering you advice and support and wanting to work with you.
Yeah.
Why did you choose to work with me? What was the thing that convinced you that I was the right person to work with?
First thing was that there was no bullshit. There was no fluff. Okay. So I know I'm a fluffy person. And I want everybody to love me and give me a cuddle. And I also know that is not. I needed the opposite of that to be able to drive my business forward. So my immediate thought, and I'm sure anybody who knows me would nod at this, is, okay, I'd love a nice lady mentor who's dead lovely and soft and mumsy, and she's going to just tell me that I'm wonderful, and that that would be great for my ego and for my inner, oh, I'm doing great, look at me. But actually, it's not really going to get me very far very quick. So I needed somebody that was going to go, okay, Simon, you're doing this wrong. You need to think about, have you thought about this? And actually, I think a lot of our conversations have, while I'm sure you are a no bullshit kind of guy, but you've allowed me to come to my own decision and come to my own, whether the decision that you would do it or I would do it, but it's all to do with the questioning that you put across, and ultimately I work it out in my own mind in the end. And I think that's the one of the biggest reasons why I like working with you.
But you said it's about being able to trust in somebody that will do the right thing and get you the results.
Yeah, exactly.
I think. So you talked a little bit about getting ultra focused on your marketing, getting ultra focused and clear on what you should be doing in your business, having that plan, having that confidence, so kind of there's also this bit around kind of guaranteed or sustainable income.
Yeah.
And I think you touched on pricing as well.
Yeah.
So where were you with pricing?
So my business started as a hobby.
Yeah.
It was a bit of fun in my bedroom, creating and dyeing shoes and messing about with leather. And it never really progressed from there in terms of like, okay, yes, I started to sell more, which obviously meant there was more money coming into the business and things like that. But I remember a conversation we had where I was just like, I'm just getting nowhere. I'm getting nowhere fast. Like I'm selling far more shoes, but I'm still not making any more money, and I couldn't quite understand why. Like, how's that happening when I'm turning over now thousands more than I was turning over 6 months ago or a year ago, obviously even more so. But I was making no money. I wasn't sitting with a nice lump of money in the bank or anything. I felt frustrated by that. So obviously we had the conversation about it, and then we looked at the numbers, and obviously along with my accountant, which I never had in place when we first started. So that was another thing where you helped me. So we got the numbers from the accountant. We looked at it. We worked out the margins. We worked out all the key statistics, cost of sales, and all of this. And we decided to increase the prices by what some would probably consider a hefty chunk. And the result of that was that I've actually sold just as many shoes, if not more. since we had the price increase. I'm turning over obviously more money. There's more cash flow coming into the business, so therefore I'm more free to make good decisions in terms of the marketing and where I'm going to spend money to drive it forward. So that was a massive thing that I wouldn't have even had the guts to do that, but it was just that push and that, okay, let's break this down into numbers, and you can see why. So you then make that decision, and it's been a great decision.
So the issues that we tackled on the workshop were around getting you super focused on what your messaging was and where and what you should be marketing.
Yeah.
How you can justify the pricing that you want to charge because you're chatting to the right people about the right product and convincing them why they should be buying your product rather than any other product.
Yeah.
And we've got you super focused in your business, so you're no longer working 90 hours a week.
No.
And you're actually spending time with your family, right?
Not just tomorrow. Like, I mean, tomorrow the plan is the phone's getting left at home, the computer's going to be left shut. I'm going out for the entire day with my wife and my daughter. Something that like 6 months ago and a year ago, I just couldn't have been. Every spare second was just crunched in the business, and it was and you might have to do little spells like that. And I did 7 days a week last week. This is now my 9th day in a row, and that's fine. That's it's great, but the important thing is that it's fine because I know that I've got that day coming, and I've got that day coming where actually I can do the thing that is one of my values, which is spending time with my family and being a good dad.
Okay, so we've managed over those 2-day workshops to really help you get super focused on your marketing, super focused on what you should be doing in your business, keep you accountable. Mm-hmm. So you were saying that I think you had an accountant previously, but what was clear to me is that you didn't really have a good handle on your numbers. Is that fair?
I didn't have a clue really, and in defence of my previous accountant, I hadn't given them much opportunity. I'm very sporadic when it comes to numbers, and again, this is all the logical side of things. So I try to just park that a little bit and just concentrate on the creative side of things. But actually, in meeting you, I realised how important it is to really try and get a handle of that. So now, for example, I didn't know the difference between gross and net.
Yeah.
Before, it's just a small thing, but now obviously I can talk about these things. So when I'm going into a meeting with a retailer, for example, like I can be confident in like, okay, so what is my margin and what is my gross, what is my net, what are we talking here, how do I understand it, what about the VAT, all of these things. And so I moved accountants. We moved across to Not Just Numbers. I'm sure they won't mind a little shout out. Not Just Numbers in Leeds. Debbie, she's lovely. And I have all that information almost just at the end of a phone call. And it's been paramount really to, again, giving us that structure going into to a big meeting and being, okay, I know what I can play with here and ultimately what I want to get out of it as well.
And one of the other outcomes from us working together is that you were spending a lot of time doing admin tasks.
Oh, massive. Yeah.
Which were one of the reasons why you were working so long hours. But obviously at that point you couldn't afford to pay anybody to do those admin tasks that were dragging you down. So you've managed to resolve that over the last couple of months. So tell us what you've done there.
So a hidden gem, again, another little shout out. I'm sure Gem won't mind me giving a little nod to her. So Gem is essentially my floating PA. So any sort of little admin tasks, and here's a great example. So obviously last week I was in London. I was down there for a week doing a pop-up shop, taking this business down to there. And Gem spent 4 hours literally going through all my contacts on LinkedIn, anybody I was connected to who was in the London area, and just sent them a personal email on my behalf, obviously, and just invited them along to the pop-up. For doing that exercise, I got around 10 appointments in, and around 8 of those actually ordered shoes last week. So therefore, in terms of like that return on investment for 4 hours work, which was what, 90 quid or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, massive.
So you've spent 90 quid on getting some admin work done, and you've generated how much revenue from that?
So if I work that out, it'd be somewhere in the region of about 1,500 quid net.
Okay, and that will the profit from that will far outweigh the PA. That you spent.
Massive.
But it's fair to say that the kind of putting the prices up and the increased sales that you've had as a result of the workshop means you can now afford to invest in that service without having to worry about your bank balance.
100%, 100%. And it's such like, you don't have to employ somebody. That's the key to it. So it's essentially forgive anybody who's been on one, but it's a zero hours contract that you can just dip in and dip out, and
pay as
just
you go.
Pay as you go, just relieve that stress and just go, okay, I don't, the stuff that like a creative person like me, or for argument's sake, a business person like you, who is great at all the logic stuff, but actually just the little fluffy emails and stuff like that, you can get somebody to help you with the bits that you're just not very good at, and it's just been fantastic, absolutely great service.
Okay, so what were the 2 or 3 main takeaways from the workshop that you've done and some of the work that we've done since? So what are the top 2 or 3 things that you've taken away from us working together?
So understanding my customers first and foremost. So the workshop was obviously largely around marketing, and the work that I've done since then with Think Smart in terms of the brand messaging and who are my customers and how do I talk to them and what do they wear and what do they drive and all of those. It's just fundamental in terms of being able to then go out and say, okay, how do I find more of these people?
Yeah.
So, for instance, we were talking about wedding fairs and things like that were okay, they were ticking over, but actually going to a business convention or something like that, where actually I've got potentially 10,000 of those customers rather than just 1,000, that's a much more rounded return on any investment that I make. So that was the first thing. And the second thing, the work that we've done since is, well, quite frankly, what you're seeing around us wouldn't be here if so I would probably still be running around in that job that I was starting to despise and not enjoy. I probably would still be trying to do that. In fact, I'd probably be a little bit dead because of the sheer amount of hours that I was working.
So you're now working less hours than you've worked in a long time.
Less hours, and truth be told, earning more money than I was earning when I was working and doing my business.
So over the last couple of months, you've had a couple of bumper months, I think.
Yeah, it's fair to say. I think putting the prices up, which was obviously a really key part of the strategy that we came up with, has helped obviously increase the turnover, which means that actually I can pay myself a little bit more. We've just shared a phone call in the car with a guy who's going to be respraying my old classic car at the end of this month, and that's as a result of this business growing.
So now you can invest in things in your personal life, you can invest in your business, work less hours, earn more money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that the glamour side of, I can take more money out of it. Like last week, I could make a really concise, clear decision on whether this was a good investment to make by looking at the numbers, looking at the area. So is it worth me spending 150 quid on a return train ticket for a day 2 weeks prior to go and look at some units, test the area, look at what people are wearing? Yes, that's a really good decision because we can look at the numbers and we can look at the strategy and say, okay, get on the train. Just 150 quid decision, but like it's a massive, really great decision in terms of like the future of the business.
So one of the things that we talked about was you felt that a lot of your customer avatar was in places like London, high disposable income, want to look smart, city type people. Obviously, we're in Durham at the moment, we're based up in the northeast, so we're a good kind of couple of 100 miles plus north of London. So we identified that your avatar was in London. You had an aspiration ultimately to open up a shop in London, but we realised that the investment associated with that and the risk associated with that wasn't a wise decision. So last week you took on a pop-up shop in Shoreditch. So lessons of risk. But so just tell us a little bit about the results you got from that session last week.
So it was, first and foremost, it was profitable.
So it's important.
So that's, I wouldn't say it was massively profitable, but it was profitable. And I think that you could easily come back from doing something like that and say, okay, it didn't quite work and I made a loss. So I'm pleased, obviously, it was in the green side of things. The lessons in terms of doing it again, and this is the key bit. So like you can make these decisions and go down there and spend a week and come back and then just go, okay, that worked really well. Okay, now what do we do? Okay, maybe we should open a shop down in that area. But the lessons or the outcomes from doing that in terms of like going forward was that I will definitely do it again, 100%. However, maybe it's just tweaks like things. So maybe the marketing and the build up to it to make sure that I had more appointments in less amount of days and probably pool and resource in terms of like the hotel or maybe some tailors and things like that.
But the results you got from the week were what compared to kind of previous weeks or months?
Oh, well, turnover wise, I did 21 orders last week. That's compared to an average week of about 4 or 5 in the northeast.
Okay, so that's a 400% increase on your usual run rate.
100%,
and the the learning that you take away from the week is you probably don't need to spend 7 days down there and get you even more focused. So you've quadrupled your turnover in a week by going where your avatar are without taking a huge risk in bricks and mortar.
Absolutely, and I think that's it going forward. I can make those decisions again, but because you've done it, and I think the important thing as well is having the guts just to go, all right, okay, let's do it. You might make a loss, but try and plan it as best you can so that you can minimise that risk, which is what we did.
But 3 months ago, you didn't have the money to be able to take that risk.
I couldn't even afford the train.
Right, now you've got the money to be able to invest in taking that risk. The risk has paid off, it's profitable. You've got another 21 happy customers, but also you've got a bunch of things that you'll do different to make it even more profitable and more fruitful next time.
It's just overall, I mean, you can come back and say, okay, I can come back with a massive cash injection, which was the dream. That was the dream. Come back, wow, couldn't believe how well that went. But I've come back with so much learning. Like you say, 21 customers, and bear in mind 34% of my customers are generally repeats or referrals. So if we take that as a statistic, you've got 21, so that means at least probably about 5 of them will become full-time customers and will come back and repeat. So like the long-term return on doing that as a week thing, I'm sure it's going to be great.
Fabulous. Well done. How do you feel about your business now compared to where you were before you came on our workshop 6 months ago?
I love it as much as anything. I love my business. I say something to my customers quite frequently, and if there's any of them watching, I'm sure they'll be familiar with. And I thank them for allowing me to do something that I love doing every single day. I say so, like, as the customers come in this room here and we spend half an hour to 45 minutes going through a consultation, the last things I say to them is thank you for allowing me to do what I love doing every single day. And I genuinely mean that. I really love my business. There's still frustrations, of course. There's still frustrations. There's still little things that you want to do, big things that you want to do. But the important thing is, I don't work 90 hours a week anymore. I do get to spend time with my family, and I can still grow the business and keep making these decisions because the turnover's coming in and the cash flow's coming in to be able to invest that money to do it.
Okay, fabulous. Well, listen, thanks for your time.
It's a pleasure, Gary.
Thanks for watching, everybody, and thanks for those that are watching on repeat. For those that have been active in Business Squad, you'll have noticed that we've sent a questionnaire out to a number of you over the last week or so, and we've had over 200 people complete that questionnaire, and we've got some results in from that questionnaire. We're going to be running a webinar next week just to share some of those results with you. But we're going to be running a boot camp early in May, and it's going to be working with business owners just like you guys to tackle some of the challenges that we've been discussing over the last half an hour or so with Simon, really around getting your marketing super focused, getting your pricing where you want it to be, really understanding your avatar, and how we can build a team and outsource some of those tasks that are a pain. How to build the right business so you are passionate about what you do, so you're not feeling overwhelmed and trapped, so you can spend quality time with your family, and so you can start to make some good, sound financial choices.
Team's the big bit. You've got to have a team. And that doesn't mean you've got to employ 15 people. It means that you've just got to have a network. And that team can involve your own wife. It can involve lots of different people. Yeah, enablers.
Good. So, ladies and gents, thank you. What we're going to be doing is Gary will attest to that. He knows nothing about fashion. Hi, Jacob. Love the backdrop in your workshop. Looks awesome. Keep up the great work. Jacob's the guy that I'm going to be in the gym with at 7 o'clock in the morning, putting me through my paces. So, Jacob, you need to get yourself up to Durham and get a pair of these shoes on your feet. You'll never look back. Trust me.
Leave your gym kit down there because it won't be needed.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching again. We're going to be tackling all of these issues to help you through those challenges, all of the issues that have come out in the questionnaire and all of the issues that we've talked about over the last half an hour or so. We're going to be tackling those in a workshop in early in May. What I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the details of the workshop into the link. There's only going to be 100 places available on this workshop, so hit the link, get signed up. It's less than £50 to attend for a full day of learning and support and working with other business owners. So listen, thanks again for your time and take care for now. Thank you, Simon.
Thank you. Cheers, man.
Bye-bye.